If you're watching this on YouTube and aren't subscribed, make sure and click the subscribe button, like, comment, let us know what you think about the episode. If there's a particular guest or topic that you'd like to hear from, we love to take your feedback and then get them on to future episodes. Today I'm going to be joined by J&K Engines. Anthony's going to be chatting with me about all things Powerstroke, from the 7.3 OBS all the way up to the 6.7 liter and even the 6.3 liter stroker, which has a lot of really cool benefits. So I'm looking forward to chatting with him today. Before we get to it, I want to give a shout out to one of our sponsors that helps make the Diesel Podcast possible. Kershaw Knives has a 40% off MSRP code for you. If you go to kershaw.kaiusa.com, use code 25TDP40, get you 40% off MSRP. It's a great way to save some money. Get some cool gear if you're in the market for a new EDC knife or something for hunting, fishing, around the job site, around the house. They've got a bunch of different options for blade steel, blade shape, different opening mechanisms, different handle designs, and the whole lineup's designed to meet any budget. So if you're in the market, head on over to their website, use code 25TDP40 and get 40% off MSRP. All right, let's get to today's podcast with Anthony from J&K Engines and talking about all things Powerstroke. Anthony, welcome back to the Diesel Podcast. How you been?
Doing good, brother. Happy to be back, Patrick. How you been, my friend?
I've been doing pretty good. It looks like your background's a little different than the last time I chatted with you and did a podcast.
It is a little different getting settled into our new facility, a lot more acreage, double the size shop. So we've been pumping engines out left and right. Had one of our best months last month, built more than 53 units. So 53 engine builds.
Oh,
So we are, cranking up production and providing lots of happy customers with quality built engines.
did you guys stay in the same town?
We're across town, so we were in Mount Juliet. Now we're in Lebanon, but Mount Juliet's a big growing city. It's right on the outskirts of Nashville. So Lebanon, we got lots of acreage. We're right across the street from a big forestry, a cedar forest. So all kinds of good opportunities for us over here on the acreage. Now we can expand and just do what we need to be done for a couple years now. Just with the restrictions and codes in the bigger city, it made us force this way. Just 20 minutes east, but we got a lot better of a setup out here.
That's cool. Well, doing over 50 engines a month, that's a lot.
It's
I'm always curious about trends. What kind of, are you guys building a little bit, of 7.3, 6.0, 6.4, 6.7s, or are there a couple that are really hot right now, or what are you guys seeing?
Man, they are. We always stay, pretty adamant on building 6.0s. That's what we stay really busy with. But right now, we've hit this big wave of 6.4 performance engines. Guys are building stage 3 6.4s left and right with, of course, all of our heavy duty internals, the coated bearings, ceramic coated piston skirts, polymer coated tops, lots of goodies in the stage 3 package that guys are taking advantage of because when they're in there, why not? We're priced right, and that's what makes us, different than I think everybody else. Because some of these engines and packages out there, I think they want to design them for old rich men, and that's fine. That's a big market. But guys like myself, guys like the average, a business owner that wants to work their truck, they don't have unlimited funds. They want to get their truck back up and running in a timely manner and in a good price point. So 6.4s, and then recently a lot of 7.3s as well. The 7.3s are a great engine. They're tried and true. They just get plumb worn out. That's it. We see very few failures in 7.3s, Patrick, but they just get loss suppression, 400,000 miles, and we're building a good bit of those 7.3s right now as well. 6.7s, of course, we build those, but I'd say the hot spot right now, this past couple months, 7.3s and 6.4s. They are they're happy.
What with the stages? I know it's going to vary probably per engine, but
Mhm.
help me understand the different stages, whether it's like 1 to 3 or 1 to 4, or what changes as we go up higher in them.
Okay. So the stage packages really depend on, your application, how you're using the vehicle. Because some guys, they just want straight up all the reliability and longevity they can get. So they opt in for the stage 3 package. But it's really after longevity and how you use it. Because our packages that we have on our website and templates that we have out there are really just showing you somewhat of what we have to offer. Because everyone makes and matches. We are completely build to order. So if someone wants to take coated pistons out of a stage 3 build and add it to a stage 2 that doesn't have all the internal coatings, we can easily add that. So, but the packages pretty much just go up in reliability. That's what it is: a reliability and longevity of the engine,
Is it really
dispersing heat.
is it really kind of driven based on power level that you would say go from a stage 1 to 2 to 3?
I think so, yeah, because you get I don't ever like to build. If I'm going to build, my let's just say my 6.0. If I want to run a set of 190/30s and a T4 turbo kit, I'm going to be, 550 horsepower. So I'm going to build it for 6 or 650. So yeah, I think some of it has to do with power, but a lot of guys too, they just want straight up the reliability. They want to know that everything internally, bearing wise, is coated. The pistons are coated. Everything is, balanced and blueprinted. We do a lot of external components too, because, we do specialize in machining and building engines and cylinder heads, but we have relationships with all the guys in the industry, to ported intake manifolds to help out with, EGTs and quicker spool up of the turbo, all kinds of, different options you can add that aren't even on our website.
You got me curious about the 7.3 stuff because I've been getting more requests for that lately and done some podcasts like some of the tuners, some of the people out there building like hard parts, turbos, things like that.
Yeah.
What typically wears out on a 7.3 with higher mileage?
Honestly, the cylinder walls, Patrick, we see a lot of just the early 2000s and the 90s cast iron back then. They didn't have the technology they do today. So a lot of times we see rusting and cavitation going on in the cylinder walls. So then, of course, that's no good. Guys are mixing, mixing fluids and having some issues. So we address that. We use some, custom chromoly push rods because every 7.3 guy really, really loves a set of Smith Brother push rods. So we have our own custom push rod lengths for our 7.3s that are really, really nice because, we try to include standard in our engines, kind of the go-to product. So everyone loves a Smith Brother push rod. They're a great company. But so I had to design our engine builds around what our customers generally ask for. So we include them standard in our engine builds. But like I said, those heavier duty cylinder walls in there, some pistons, But then again, we had a couple on our social media recently that did everything, balls to the wall, full girdle kits, fire ring cylinder heads, all the coatings, pretty much, the equivalent to that stage 3 6064 I mentioned earlier.
It kind of makes it easy when I think about it. Like, yeah, the older trucks are more expensive than they were at one time, but they're still cheaper than, 80 to $115,000 for a brand new one. So it
Yeah,
makes it
yeah.
it makes it easy to say, okay, I'm going to spend a little money on, maybe some of these upgrades along the way that I, maybe wouldn't have done 10 years ago or 15 years ago when they weren't that expensive. But just the whole
Yeah.
market, for really for any of the brands, is just it's gone up so much. I think what's driving is people just wanting the simplicity and
Yep,
not
that's
having
it.
DEF fluid and all the other
Yeah,
components to it, and they're
yep.
willing to spend money on them.
That's it. That for sure, and the longevity aspect. Like you said, less emissions makes guys opt in for them. So you can easily add. I just watched your last podcast on the 6.0 Ficum tuning from Power Hungry. Make it by far the best Hydra tuner that they make for those 7.3s. I try and recommend it to all 7.3 customers because it's a really nice platform.
It's cool seeing
Plus,
all.
plus, Patrick, to be honest with you, man, I drive new Luma duties all day. Show trucks. We've got a truck that just got dropped off getting, compounds on a 6.0. Everything's custom paint, interior, exterior. But you drive down the road in an OBS 7.3 liter Powerstroke, you will get more head turns and people asking to buy your vehicle than any truck on the market, guaranteed.
It's so interesting to me to see it and have happened in real time because I think back to my history as an enthusiast, and it's like 7.3s, whether they were OBS or Super Duty, they ran. You knew that they would hold up long term. You could tow with them. They had okay power, but if you wanted, it seemed like the enthusiasts gravitated towards the 5.9 Common Rail Cummins and the Duramaxes, whichever, whether it was LB7, LOI, LBZ, and the Power Strokes almost got forgotten about. Well, I say the last 5 years, maybe even longer, it's like flipped on itself,
Yeah,
and the 7.3s have taken off 6 liters.
yeah,
I mean 6.4s, like mentioning the performance builds you did. I'm like 6.4s. They had a 3 year run of those trucks, but they seem to have these resurgences like from time to time where people are doing stuff to them. It's really cool to watch.
yes, it is. It's a beautiful thing. You are correct.
With the 6.4 stuff, does that surprise you sometimes when somebody calls in and says, I need a race build for my 6.4 and this is what I'm doing? What kind of options are there for those trucks? 'Cause I think my perspective is kind of limited. It's more covering topics, news, trends. I love to interact with the audience. I love to get emails from them and read what they're doing with trucks. And it's with 6.4s, I usually get asked, is it worth me buying? Like the price is right on the truck. It has low mileage. Should I buy it? And they've read all the things. They're hesitant. They don't know if they should do it. But you guys are building a ton of these. What would you tell somebody who's looking at a 6.4? Maybe they just picked up one and they're thinking, should I invest this money into it? And what are my options to address some of the issues?
Okay. Well, yeah, I just start by, elaborating how I do with everybody that, yeah, the 6.4 does have a bad name from from the factory. I've known some shops and technicians that won't even touch a 6.4 liter. So, to me, it's kind of crazy because I know they're reliable. We have two of them here at our shop that we use to crazy scrap loads. We've had them for, years and years now without a hitch. So, you can make a 6.4 reliable. But like you said, they were only out for 3 years. So, to see on our board right now of, more than 35 to 46 4 orders, and I'd say probably, I'm up close to half of them are performance builds, guys that want to opt in for, all the reliability. It's definitely a good option while you're in there. But I don't know why anyone would be scared, to be honest with you. Yeah, they got a bad name from the factory, but you upgrade to our Max 47 HD pistons that we use in all of our engine builds, chromoly push rods. We do ARP head stud standard. So, factory, I can see where guys are afraid. But when you're talking about a J&K built, long block, um, to me, the reliability is there. And I only know this because our government agencies, they don't run anything harder than they do the 6.4 liter. They patrol our border with Bearcat 6.4 liter Powerstroke engines in a Bearcat armored vehicle, and they actually put close to 40,000 hours. And if you convert that, Patrick, to 40,000 hours to mileage, that's crazy amount of miles. 900,000 miles they've put on these 6.4s in the harshest conditions, and on the border, idle time, without a hitch. So if you're asking me, I've seen the results of a 6.4. Guys can be afraid of them, but like you said, that just leaves a truck, a valuable work truck for a good cost to me and you. But me, I would honestly tell guys, check out our past customers, because I could say it all day, every day, but go to my reviews, go to my social medias, check out guys that have ran these 6.4s for years and and have had amazing luck.
Isn't it interesting how in the diesel industry, how something can get a bad rap and it's really tough to shake? Like I think of 6 liters. For a
Oh,
long time, they had the horrible, horrible reputation. But it's changed now to where we accept the things that need to be upgraded and people run them all day long. And it's not just Ford. Like, I mean, the Cummins platform transmissions have sucked for them for 25, 30 years. And so we've come to expect I need to spend four to $10,000 on a built 47 or 48, or some of the problems with LB7 injectors or LLYs with the heads, getting cracks in the head, or LBZ with pistons that can crack. So
yes.
we seem to accept them on other models, but it seems like with some of the Fords, it's like it's no, you got to stay away from it. There's nothing you can do to fix it. Just skip the 6.0, skip the 6.4, skip the early 6.7s, go to the later ones, and you just have these two. But it's really interesting to hear from you, and you guys are really really deep into that market with building these engines. That it doesn't have to be like that.
Yeah, you are correct. Yep. And to me, because I'm a fan of both 6.0 and 6.4. We have them as our shop trucks. We build a lot of them, so we see them. But the thing is, the 6 liter is you can have of course maximum reliability just like a 6.4. But before the common rail setup, the 6 liter is just so affordable. So to me, I'm after bang for my buck. If I'm a hot shotter, I want to tow vehicles across the country. Don't get me wrong. A stock 6.4 has great power, but you install our stage 2 6.0 long block. You got our stage 2 cam that decreases EGTs 300 degrees, ups your fuel economy, gives you extra 100 foot-pounds of torque. I mean, it just the cam alone, not even anything else in our engine builds internally, but just those benefits alone, the cost point of it, you could buy 3 engines, and replace them by the time of buying one newer gen diesel. And so
Yeah.
that's where I'm at. I want bang for my buck. Yeah, I want something to last, but if I have an issue with something, I don't want to spend an arm and a leg to replace a set of injectors. 3, 4 grand. It can get steep with these newer gen diesels, and that's why I love a 6073 platform. Really, really nice and bang for your buck.
Yeah, I also think too probably supply of parts and the aftermarket, how it's stepped up with a lot of hard parts, what you guys are doing
Yep.
is really crucial. There's so many kind of horror stories I hear on newer trucks, any of the brands, but something can be on back order for 2 months or 6 months or even longer, and you're just kind of stuck. And you might be stuck
Yep.
with a payment, and it's not going. Whereas when you have some of these older trucks, I'm sure the core supply is good or decent, and the things that you might need, there's brand new aftermarket parts that use better materials, better tolerances, all that stuff.
Yep. And they're everywhere. You can go to any parts counter and get it. That's the good thing.
One of the really interesting builds you guys do got a lot of comments and interest was a 6.3 liter Power Stroke. It throws people off when you say a 6.3 liter Power Stroke.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And they say, no, you mean a 7.3, right, Patrick?
Yeah, you mean a 6.4, right? You just hit the wrong button when you were typing in
Yep.
the title,
That's
right?
it.
What is a 6.3 liter? I want to ask you for people who didn't catch our other episode.
Yeah, no problem at all. Our 6.3 platform is pretty much our board and stroke 6.0. We take a standard 6.0 and we bore and stroke it to a 6.3 liter, 383 cubic inch, pretty much torque monster. Has the crazy linear torque curve, unlike anything a lot of guys in the industry have seen on the dyno. So has amazing power, but you don't have to go out and have big set of injectors, the turbo upgrades, all of the crazy aftermarket tuning for it to work. It's a drop-in replacement that has max reliability and great power with the factory 6.0. So, everything internally, every internal bearing ceramic coated, all the pistons coated, balancing, of course, done, ARP everywhere around, has our own J&K custom billet flywheel flex plate because we know a lot of our 6.3 customers are building some power. So spot welds on the OEM flywheel flex plate never hold up. So it comes with that. Our bulletproof billet water pump we install on all of our 6.3s, front and rear cover. Comes with a really, really nice powder coated package that is build to order as well. So depending on if you're like me, I put it in my excursion with a set of compounds and 205s because I just want to tow my boat and I want to have fun with it and take it to a show and hop on the dyno. So that, if you're into more performance like me and want to have some fun on the weekends, or just a work truck that we do a lot of flatbed work trucks, 350 flatbeds that just want the max reliability they can get without having to sacrifice fuel economy and up in your injectors, up in your turbo, just really for guys that want more performance and they don't want to hot rod
So that's cool. So it's not just like a performance build. It's something you could daily drive tow with, or if you want to go make some really good power numbers, you can do that
it.
too.
Yes, you definitely can. Check out our very first Engine Builder magazine article, Patrick. You would laugh your butt off. It's our first shop truck we had back in, I forgot, we bought this thing back in like 2010 or 2011, but we called it the quickest plumber truck in the world because it was a '03 service truck with our 6.3 in it. Everything stock though. Stock injectors, turbo, bullet. We did upgrade the EGR system to a bulletproof EGR cooler just because we know we were in there and we wanted to, put a bulletproof system in there for our EGR. But just the Warren stroking alone, doing nothing else, took us from 270 horse to 450. So it's a really nice gain to get 900 foot-pounds out of the gate, and that's on an early '03. And the early '03 6.0s too had a different FICM. They had constricted downpipe. They had less horsepower than your later gen. So say you have a '04, '05 6.0 or '07, even the E series. We do a lot of E series recently, all the way up to 2010, and they're great. On that topic too, man, like you said, one-off stuff. We just did a 4x4 converted E series van. It was one of the coolest vans I've ever had here. Really, really neat van.
I see more and more of those, which I live a little outside of Denver, and I don't know why they've always my eye always goes to them, and I've been seeing more E Series four-wheel drive converted vans. And I remembered when we had chatted, I think last year, about a really cool build that you
Mhm.
guys had. I think it was that one. And I thought,
Yep.
oh man, that get some more power, some more torque, better torque numbers, four-wheel drive. Like, dude, it's set up.
Yeah, I think the one me and you chatted about is actually going to be released here soon. This was a different one, the
Oh,
green
okay.
van, but yeah, that is actually coming out here soon. Just got the content plan and all the stuff going on, so that blown production is going to be released, and we can't wait to share that.
You mentioned compounds, and that has early on in the podcast years ago, I'd chat with like a turbo company turbo builder or something like that, and we'd be talking about Cummins compounds, and I get Powerstroke guys to say, "Where's one for a 6.0? Where's one for a 7.3? Why don't we have anything?" And it might have been 6, 7 years ago. There was a guy I had on, just an average guy, enthusiast. He built his own compound kit. I don't remember if it was for a 7.3 or 6 liter, but you were talking to me before the podcast about how people can order their engine in the compound kit and it ships to you guys. You put it on, and how it's been like compound season. People are just wanting them left and right. What's
That's it.
tell me a bit more about that.
Yeah, no problem at all. Everyone's budget and their goals are different. So we're here to accommodate everybody. You can build great power with a big single, a VGT turbo. They run phenomenal. But right now, it's just compound season. Tis the season, my man. We've got three builds in the past couple months that are really fun 6 liter compound builds. We do other platforms as well, but these guys, we've got a great relationship with Larry and SoCal Billet. So pretty much they tell me what they want. They still want to be able to tow. They still want to be able to street these trucks. One customer is solely racing it now. That is his goal. So his build is a little bit different. But one of them, we design everything. He's got the turbo in the valley, the atmospheric turbo. We completely designed this turbo kit, his injectors for his application. So yeah, we're it's going to be out there pretty soon. It's a nice, really custom green Harley Davidson truck. So we're going to post it once it's all completed. But yeah, they pretty much told me his goals and that he really was adamant on compounds. So we made it all happen for him. Got the complete kit. We're mocking it up, and even all the custom powder coating. So sky's the limits. Whatever you want, and it's not going to break the bank either. That's the thing, because back in the day, to have compounds and to compound a truck and do the engine build the right way, you had to have 40, 50 grand. Nowadays, it's not like that. There are affordable billet connecting rods on the market, so you don't have to spend 4 grand a set. There's like you said, just the aftermarket supply of all these platforms are becoming more and more prevalent. So it's great. It's a win-win for everybody. The costs are becoming cheaper, so you can build power without having to break the bank.
It's really unique that you guys have that, because a lot of times when I think of, say, doing a build, I think I'm going to have to call company A, tell them what I'm doing, the power level. They're going to build my engine. Then I call company B. They source and recommend the turbo size for me. Then I'm calling company C to tell them how I need to fuel both the turbos, what my engine build is. So I'm talking with 3+ companies to get all this put together. It'd be so
Hmm.
much easier just to call one place and it's all coming together. And when it arrives to me, I just got to put it in.
Yeah, yeah. It arrives to you, you put it in, or I mean, we offer the service now at our new facility. Drop us off the truck, Patrick. We do the complete job, whatever you want, just like you said. We got your turbo kit, fuel system, of course, the engine build down pat, transmission, anything you want for your truck, we accommodate and we can install as well.
I got to ask you about that side of it, because that's one of the other popular questions I get a
Mhm.
lot, almost, I would say several times a week, is, well, I don't know any place near me that can do this, or they don't kind of specialize in this stuff. Where can I take my truck? And people are willing to drive
Oh
1,000
yeah.
miles, 2,000 miles, however far it is. They'll drive. Tell me about being in this new location and some of the install services, because that's really unique.
Yeah, it really is, and our team here is phenomenal. I mean, I think we have the best team out of any engine builders out there, solely because we have adapted. With our new facility, we can offer installs, and like you said, yeah, we got trucks from California here at our shop in Tennessee because we know what we're doing. We got trucks from all over the states, but to me, I don't try and persuade guys. They want to bring me the vehicles because they know that it's going to get done right the first time we test drive. We don't just, we're not like a lot of other shops and Ford dealerships. I hate to say it, a lot of dealerships do install our engines, but they don't test drive. They don't do brake and oil changes. They don't ensure that their engine, because it's not their engine, they're putting a Ford reman in it. They want to ensure that that our customer is happy. So pretty much, we offer that. that service to anyone who can, and it's going to end up saving you the most amount of money because I see these labor bills all the time for customers when they send in their warranty registration. We just like to get it, just to have a little bill of their installers, just to, in case we have any questions, we want to go back. But the labor rates and the components that they're adding to these tickets that don't need to be. See, that's what makes it worth your while to get someone who does these power strokes all day, every day. If there's a component that we know is not tired out at 100,000 miles and it's going to last you another couple hundred K, there's no need to replace it. So, number one, it's going to save you the most amount of money without buying components you don't need. And plus, when we have all the cores and we have all the, everything here at our facility, the price is right. We were able to, knock off core chart and pretty much make these engines the most affordable as we can. Because cores are crazy these days. You know how some guys charge, 3-4 grand for an engine core. We're nowhere near that because I have huge inventory on all my engines, but sometimes the core charge can make it or break it. So that's also another, thing that we do. You can always send us your engine core in first if you're shy on funds. We just wipe that core charge off completely.
How does it work, like as far as time for the install? Like, I guess it would depend what you guys were doing, right? Like if
Yeah.
you're doing the compounds and other
Mhm.
things, but is it how does it work for scheduling? I get really interested in the logistics because I think of how the questions, because they probably do to you every single day. Somebody says, okay, great. Well, how long do I need to be there? How long should I
Yep.
plan for it? How does it all work once I arrive?
Yeah. So pretty much, we go over this schedule with everyone when we're first talking but I mean, to be honest with you, Patrick, on standard installs, that we can do those in a matter of, anywhere between 2 to 4 weeks, a standard install and engine build, everything. And now normally 2 to 4 weeks is somebody's lead time on a set of heads or a set of, or just a bottom end. We can do everything in that timeline. So besides being, besides having engines in stock readily available, no matter what you want, we pretty much can service anybody. But touching on that subject, you are right that the guys that more standard installs are a lot easier. But even with this guy, compounds, huge fuel system, everything powder coated, we pretty much make it to where when they drop the truck off, all the engine build, everything else is already prepped and ready, brother. Everyone else is waiting on inventory. They're waiting on parts. They're waiting on their engine to get in. They're waiting on components to finish. Well, when you are the engine builder in the parts house, everything happens seamlessly. So yeah, these performance builds with all the powder coating and all the extras, they are going to take an extra couple of weeks to do because we got to pull those components clean, powder coat and all. But to be honest, I've seen some performance builds in shops go on 3 or 4 months. Where here, that's never going to happen. Now, of course, there are situations out there where guys aren't in a rush. Guys are racing these trucks solely, so of course they're not on a huge timeline. But like I said, my team here is by far the best in the industry. These guys, we're very welcoming. They come in, we check them in, we walk them through everything, take them on a tour of the facility. They can see other installs that we have going on, and then we pretty much just give them a very transparent timeline. Or we have some customers too that they place their order and then their truck runs or they want to get it here at a certain time, so they bring it once we're ready for it. So it really varies, but man, we're quick right now, and we've gotten this install process pretty much down to a T.
That's cool. I was talking with somebody in the industry, and I haven't worked in it for about 10 or 15 years. But back then, the lead times on things would be about 2 weeks, maybe a week and a half. And that was just like standard. And if somebody said, I need it quicker, it was like, oh, there's no way you're going to get it any faster. Like it's, 10 to 14 days. And that was kind of standard. And I was talking with them and I said, what's the lead time on these things now? And they're like 4 to 6 weeks, 4 to 8 weeks. And I'm like, people wait 4 to 8 weeks for these things that used to be a week and a half to 2 weeks. And even that was, I mean, some guys get really, really, I don't want to say agitated, but like excited because they needed their truck to run. They needed it to get back. And you're telling them it's got to sit for a week and a half to 2 weeks. I'm like, how do you do it for 4 to 8 weeks? And so to hear how you guys can streamline that and get it back to what I think is more standard or
Yeah.
used to be standard is really interesting in 2025, which I know there's a lot of challenges with, supply chain logistics, getting things, coordinating everything. That's definitely different than what I normally hear from a bunch of different sides of this industry.
Yeah, and our lead times have get cut down a lot being in our new shop too, because when you have more room, more inventory, like I said, you can build a lot more engines.
Are you guys on the 6.7 stuff? Or, I think about them, they've been out for a while now.
Yes.
And people, maybe the second owner, third owner, maybe something comes out of warranty and they think, okay, now I want to do some things to this. Is that side starting to grow more as well?
Oh yeah, big time, big time. Doing a lot of builds, of course, with the new DCR pumps because guys, when they're building their engine, why the heck would they put the CP4 on? So doing a lot of DCR pumps. We're TIG welding a lot of crank gears from where these 6.7s are spinning. Of course, the front crank gear. We have our cut, just like everything else, we have our custom chromoly push rods, ARP studs, coatings. We can do everything, but it's funny you mentioned that because we just today I got a great review in from a customer that he needed a 6.7 in a timely manner. And like you said earlier, lead times used to be crazy, but the one beautiful thing about a family owned and operated business like ours, we can make things happen. Some guys aren't in a big rush. Some guys, need theirs quicker than others. So we can always adjust, shift things around, and make a shop, make the average Joe happy. Because we're priced for the working man. I mean, that's our motto here. So we can always change things around and get guys at a sooner timeline if they need it. I can't always, but we always do our best. That's for sure.
I have a question to ask you right now. I didn't plan on it, but it just kind of worked out perfectly.
Hit me, baby.
Is yesterday I had the owner of Dynamite Diesel Products on, and we were talking about like performance reliability, what that means in 2025.
Uh-huh.
And really, it was more about the truck being reliable versus making 1,000 horsepower. And I had mentioned the CP4 pump, and he said, "Hey, I've got a bunch of eco diesels. I've had, I don't remember how many 6.7 Powerstrokes he had, but he said I never had a problem with the CP4. But on two of my trucks, I the engines, it was something with the bearings. I didn't clarify with him, but he said that the main bearings did something, and he locked
Yep.
up two 6.7 Powerstrokes.
Big time issues with those are the mains. We line bore all 6.7s because they always spin a main.
That's what I was going to ask you because I thought, okay, because he said I'm either really lucky and don't have CP4 issues, or I have horrible luck on main bearings on 6.7 Powerstrokes because I've lost
Yeah.
two engines in two different trucks. So I was going to ask you about the solution for that. Does it come like standard on the stage ones, or how do you address it to be able to fix that issue if somebody's got a 6.7?
We line bore all 6.7, so we pretty much wherever the crank rides, we align bore and hone out where the crankshaft rides in the block. So that race applications, we pin and stake the caps on there because they have a cap style. Unless a customer wants to upgrade to the full girdle kit, where they do away with the caps and and have a girdle more like a 6064 platform. But we don't have any issues with our standard builds, but there's a lot of guys who want to opt in for the more performance oriented and the state caps and things like that because of that issue. So there's definitely things we can do internally in those, but 6.7s, I mean, they're a great platform. I haven't personally owned one yet, so I'm looking for them in the future. Like you said, they're becoming more and more affordable each day, so I can't wait to get one myself.
Is there what makes that a possibility with the OEM engine? Is it materials? Is it the design? What makes that bearing? What makes that issue happen?
It could just be simply, tolerance issues out of the factory. That just the proper machining from the factory could have been bad. Could have been fuel diluted. Once you add a little bit of fuel to diesel oil, that's gonna spin a bearing really, really quick. Happens in 6.4s as well. But and all honesty too, some guys turn these things way up too much. I mean, you can build huge horsepower with a stock 6.7, but it's going to come with a consequence. So that is great. We use DDP for a lot of our common rail injector testing, and guys want oversized injectors. A great company, and especially to be able to have the insurance of, with injectors being the price they are, to have a company that you could send your sticks to, have them flow them, give you full results. That's worth it in itself.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really important. I think, especially doing an engine build, like I mentioned with him, something that's changed in my thinking. I told him the thing that I'm most afraid of in pertaining to diesel trucks, the aftermarket, anything I might do to them, is the injectors because I've seen and heard so many stories, whether it's a brand new build or something like that, where the injectors aren't performing as they should and you melt a piston or it gets too warm. And it's so expensive. And
Yes.
compared to other things on the truck to where that would just be standard operating procedure if I was going to do
Yes.
anything. It's just make sure you've got, good injectors that's flowing well to protect the investment that you got.
Exactly. And your injectors are one component that when they fail, they will fry an engine completely. A turbocharger, yeah, I said they can blow some contaminants through your oil, but I mean when a turbo fails, you're not going to blow up your engine. High pressure fuel pump, high pressure oil pump fails, yeah, it can put some contaminants through your engine, but it's not going to blow it up or melt or crack a piston, man. You install a bad injector, it's going to take down your brand new investment. Prime example, Zach the other day, he was on the podcast, I believe last or the time before. You got to chat with Zach, one of my head engine builders.
Yeah.
He told the customer straight up, you have mileage on your injectors. And even though it's just at 50,000, I'm going to give you the opportunity now to go ahead and replace them since the labor is already included. So the customer opted out. He wanted to replace two of them instead of all eight. We got it all back together, and of course he has multiple injectors. I think it's 3 and 5 cylinder, 3 and 5 are now, those sticks are bad too. So and we were transparent up front, and now the sad part is it's going to cost us labor and time to go back in there. So when we're up front in it in the beginning, he's just going to have to spend a little extra labor to get back in there and replace all the injectors now. And like I said earlier, that's part of our job when we do installations. We want to have happy customers. We want to have their trucks last forever. So we're only going to recommend what we think you need. And sure enough, we got the truck back here, everything finished, and still had a couple bad injectors.
What would be a couple? I know it's going to vary based on engine type, maybe, but what would be a couple areas where you would tell somebody if they called in, like, absolutely do not skip this. Don't try to save money here. This is spend the money on this. Because I think when you look at the price of an engine, the labor, the downtime, all that stuff, it's going to be an expensive venture for somebody. And
Yeah.
we don't necessarily know where we should spend the money. Like, should I put it into billet rods for one day when I might build power? Should I do it in the valve train? Should I do it here or there? And it's real easy to get lost bouncing around on Facebook groups or Reddit or just different places where people chat. We don't know
Oh
where to
yeah.
spend it. What are a couple spots you'd say don't try to save money here, invest the money, it'll protect it long term.
I mean, right there was a prime example. A 6 liter with stock set of injectors until you upgrade the spool valves, you're going to tire out at 150, 125, 150,000 miles. So we know that life expectancy of most of these components. So that's what we recommend. So 6.0s need a set of injectors. And I say anytime they have near 100,000 miles on them, I'd say it's cheaper to go in with new injectors now versus paying the labor later. So that components on 7.3s. Really, their high pressure oiling system and that oil pump, they can last, but I really recommend replacing those if they have anywhere close to 200,000 on them. We have a good stage one pump. So, I mean, it really depends on the platform, but each of them is really a little bit different. And, when you build thousands of engines, you kind of, know, I'm going to replace this component of this mileage on this vehicle versus, a 6.4 because we know that 6.4s are definitely known to crack and melt some pistons. So I like to recommend injectors on every 6.4 customer just because that's a big issue.
Yeah, I think relying on the data points that you have throughout the years and decades it's worth something. It's worth a lot
Yeah,
because when these components can fail under what conditions. You see it all day, every single year. And I think being able to find a company, and we're chatting about engines, but it goes with every different component on a truck that you trust is really important, where they're not just trying to sell you stuff and to make more money. It's really like, tell me exactly what I need and I have to spend the money, and then give me some optional stuff. Lay
yeah.
it all out for me so I can make a decision.
Yeah, and that's what I do to pretty much everyone, which is great because I had the guy with an E series van the other day pretty much tell me, he has 44,000 miles in the van. So he said, Anthony, what do I need? Do I need coated pistons or do I need your billet flywheel flex plate? I got a little bit of room in the budget, so which of those options would be better for me? So I know for a fact the E series van, coated pistons are great. They help with lubrication on the cylinder walls, less friction. You can take a piston out of a cylinder wall. it's been ran hundreds of thousands of miles and it looks brand new. So it is a great technology, but with a van like that, always under a load, I obviously recommended our billet flywheel flex plate because that's what's going to put more stress on the flex plate. So there are a lot of options, but a lot of guys do want to know, if I'm going to spend the money, you do have a lot. We have a few options, that's for sure. They want to know what makes more sense for them, and that's what call us at any time. We can walk you through it. A lot of guys, love emailing. They're more online presence these days and social media. So by all means, we can walk you through it over the phone, or in person, or via email. We can make it pretty much as easy and self-explanatory as we can.
I always like to be able, because I don't always think of every question to ask, because I don't necessarily own one of the trucks that I'm talking about or have it in a really long time, and I don't know the particular situation. And somebody might have a specific question about a 7.3 or a 6 liter or 6.4 or 6.7 Powerstroke. What's the best way to get in contact with you guys and ask those questions? Is it to call in, jump on the website, social media? What's the
Yeah.
best way?
To be honest, I would say call me. My staff here, we're open from 7 to 5. So I think the easiest way is drop me a line. Call me at 615-758-7749 is the best number for our shop. But by all means, we're active on social media. Hit me up on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. We're very active on there. Or go to our website, right to the contact us page, and you can get me directly from there as well. And the beautiful thing about our new showroom is drop by. I mean, if you're local to Tennessee or Kentucky, Alabama, Georgia, feel free come by to our facility, see what we have to offer, and and get to see the crew.
That's cool. I always love chatting about engines because it's really at the heart of why we're enthusiasts, why people listen to podcasts, or why I do this. It's really about the engines, and it's cool to learn about trucks that I haven't necessarily had. And
Yeah.
because I think about it all the time, I'm always thinking like, what truck do I want? Or maybe I want a second one or a third
Mhm.
one, and I kind of get brand fatigue a little bit. Like, yeah, I might have a particular year range of a specific brand I really like, but then I hear like that 6.3 Power Stroke. I'd want to drive. I'd want to take a ride in one of those. Like, I'd want to experience that because the trucks
Mhm.
are priced right. I can get tons of parts for them. I'm not spending $30,000 on a 20-year-old 5.9 common rail that I'm going to have
Yes,
to
sir.
then spend 10 grand on a transmission and all these other things. Yeah, I can make fantastic power with it, but maybe I don't want to spend that kind of money. Maybe I want to get pre-07 and do some cool stuff with one of them. And it's so interesting to learn about. So I appreciate your time today, Anthony. It's always cool chatting with you. Congratulations on the new shop move and the things you guys are doing. I love the idea of like the compound kits and the install shop and the things that you guys have there. It's really unique and cool, and just people with power strokes a really cool option out there.
Yes, I do. Always good chatting with you, Patrick. Thank you very much. Always fun to be a part of this and this beautiful Diesel Nation.
Don't forget, Diesel fans, make sure and head on over to Kershaw.kaiusa.com. Use code 25TDP40. Get you 40% off MSRP. It's a great way to save some money, get some cool gear if you're in the market for an EDC knife, something for hunting, fishing, around the job site, around the house. They got you covered with a bunch of different options for blade steel, blade shape, opening mechanisms, different handle designs, and a whole lineup that's designed to meet a wide variety of budgets. So we appreciate them offering that discount code just for these podcast listeners and encourage you guys to head on over there, save some money, and get some cool gear. Also want to give a shout out to some of our Patreon supporters, Tyler, Loewen, and 23 Diesel, CUTTERUP, Rob, Robert, all of our other Patreon supporters, all of you who subscribe on YouTube and podcast apps. Follow us on social media. We appreciate all your support here in year 9 of the Diesel Podcast and look forward to bringing you more of the content that you want to hear in 2025. Until next time, keep the shiny side up.